Welcome, everyone. We're back for another GG Millions, episode number 36, with the man, the myth, Ben Heath joins us, who is number 3 in the UK all-time money list, over 20 million in lifetime earnings, fresh off of 5th place at that 40 mil guaranteed. Ben, how are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm
It's
good, man. Holiday
nice.
holiday time. It's a new year. You know, I'm born and raised in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Any Michigan fans out there? Very happy. Been about 26 years since they won a national title. Happened last night. I'm actually in Houston. Was at the game. Was a lot of fun. But poker today. That's what we're about. I know in the UK you guys aren't following college football. We are following some of the biggest and brightest stars in the world today. We will be sweating the action again. Bert Stevens, who did win the biggest tournaments in history, prize pool wise, the WSOP main on GG. He is at the final table again. 1.79 million in the prize pool for this 10K that plays on Sundays and resumes on Tuesday, as we are here to see who's going to take home 363,836 USD, over a quarter million plus to second. Huge spot today. A lot of money, 51K guaranteed. Ben, I know you know some of these players. You play with them live. You played with them in line in the past. So looking for your insight there. 179 entrants today. Pretty nice turnout for this event. And of course, we will crown a champion. There have been some prior winners. We'll talk about that today. Lucky Chicken, feeling lucky, feeling the chip lead, 70 BBs. That's a lot, all the way down to our shortest stack, 12 BBs. We'll do a race. We'll do a draft, me and you, for dinner. We'll have the audience involved. We have a tweet on my Jeff Gross Poker going out as well. Giveaways, of course, always part of the game, part of the fun. And Ben, right into the action here. Ace nine suited, kind of an awkward stack, but what do you think here for the open with the ace nine suited off this stack depth in this position?
Yeah, you're right. It's a little awkward. I think the open looks good. I think there's just like so many people behind you.
Yeah.
Um, Shove seems tempting, but I think you're better off just like min raising and figuring it out. Maybe have some tough spots from there.
For sure. Well, I do want to, before we get sidetracked, let's do red or black. Let's get that out of the way. We'll do a dinner if you're up for that. We'll do a draft, and
Yeah.
the audience will have either a 50 or $100 opportunity. So they'll be on your side for 50, mine for 100, and you can choose the flop color, red or black.
All right, I'll take red.
Okay, red it is. We'll see if we might get one here, but actually, I mean, guy has a lot of chips. One of the big stacks. It is a pretty strong hand. Tens in the big blind versus the button open. So I would assume Chris, who's one of the more experienced players, is going to be checking the temperature here. But let's see if it was a slight delay. He does go ahead and put it up. And Nikita, very experienced high stakes player. What do you think here, Ace Jack? This is also pretty strong hand considering the situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see a flop. I think it's going to be all in from the button, and Chris obviously isn't going anywhere with tens.
Yeah.
I think it's like not that fun a spot for Nikita, but Chris is good and aggressive, and Ace Jack is a lot of hand.
Well, we're right into the show. We're right into an all in. The flop, let's get that out of the way. It's red. You've got that secured. Tens has it secured to the river. Can it fade 6 outs twice? Running cold or oh no. Okay, I thought that could have been the ace. It's not. It is going to be eight-handed. It's going to be important for our draft, right? One less player. So we each get four. That makes it even. And now you have a decision. Do you want the first pick or second and third? A lot of chips out there. I'll let you take a moment as we say hi to the audience. A lot of familiar faces
Uh,
out there. Please let us know where you're watching from. And Ben's going to be making his decision here.
yeah, I'll take second and third pick.
Second and third. Okay, so that must mean you're a smart guy. There's probably a reason for that. Let me make sure I don't misclick here. I will go for my okay. I mean Chris Rudolph. I see him every week. I feel at the final table. He's got the most chips. That's my first selection.
Yeah, I'll take Lucky Chicken and Kulev.
Lucky Chicken, kind of a wild card. Don't think we've seen him before repping the China flag, and he is got the chips. So you have yeah, that makes sense. So you got a lot of chips. I will then go to. Ooh, let me just take a look at our notes for the show today. I'm a little less familiar with. So Alex Garcia has no prior really results and don't know much about him. And then I think what led me alone is where's Bert at? Where's Bert stat at? He's always, you know what? Uh, You know what? I'm gonna go with Bert. I gotta go with the man. He was just on the podcast. You're gonna be on the podcast next week. He's hot. He's winning events. He's streaming on Twitch. He's doing it all. I gotta go with my man. I'm gonna disregard the chips right now as we're seeing a interesting hand with the tens there. But let's let you pick the next to get this out of the way. I'll go with Bert.
You don't you don't have two?
So it goes 1-2, and then we just do one the rest of the way.
Ah, okay. Um, I'll take Alex.
Oh shit. Wait, didn't no? Don't you had Alex? Don't you? Didn't you get Alex and Lucky already?
I'll take Alex Garcia.
Ah, okay. You're just all the Alexes. That makes it easy. Okay, I'll get. I'll take. Let me alone.
Okay, and then I get uh, I'm just seeing the first name is A.
Yep, you got that. I think it's a Ukraine flag, I believe. But so you got
Yeah,
A, and then that leaves who is it? Though is it the one last player here with the Queen 10 suited? Correct? Is that the
yeah, Vladimir. Right?
Vladimir Palomera? So he is gonna get called, and I am gonna need help. Queen 10 or a club, or you are gonna be in a nice, very nice position to start. Let's see if he can find a miracle river. It's a king of clubs. It is a double, and that does even things out a little bit. So all right, we got our draft. If one of my players win, you guys get a $100 GG tournament ticket. If one of Ben's players win, it's a $50 GG cash ticket. Good luck to everyone. We are still eight-handed, and we are with Ben Heath, who is fresh off that score. How is that like to grind? You playing so much live these days. You finish the year, you go to Vegas, you score for 1.5 million, play in that tournament. What is that? What was that like to close your year out in that field? I mean, that was a special tournament.
Yeah, I mean, incredible tournament. It was. I mean, they're quite different, right? Those tournaments. There aren't that many of the year that are 7 days long.
Yep,
Um, I'm kind of mostly playing 1 to 2 day events with like some 3 days, and even those like 2 or 3 days events can be a grind. 7 days just feels it's like such a grind just trying to keep your head in a good space. And but yeah, I mean, obviously, incredible end to the year. It's like hard to
and
ask for more than that.
And how do you prepare? Like how is it different when you're playing these Tritons? You've had such success there as well. How is that, playing these higher stake buy-in tournaments in smaller fields versus one of these where you got to go 7 days or 6 days for a main event? How does it differ in terms of a mindset when you approach those?
I mean, I think in a way they're just like more tiring. I guess it's a lot harder to you're playing different people every day that you've usually never played before. Um, so there's a lot of when you play a Triton, obviously you're playing a lot of the same people. So while it's hard poker, you at least kind of know who everyone is. But every time you move table in one of these big 10Ks, you're just like trying to figure out who the new people are at your table. So it's pretty exhausting to just do that every day for 7 days. Although I did like the WPT had this like nice schedule of just 5 hour and a half levels every day, so you're kind of done by 9 p.m.
Yeah,
It was like 8:30, 8:45. A lot of the days you're done by, so it's actually like a lot easier than some of these, some of the ones where you have to play till like 1 a.m. every day.
for sure. Yeah, definitely completely different, but also, yeah, you've done both. You've done them both well, and you've had some main event success. I believe Australia was one of the ones you had a second or first. Did you win that or the Aussie Million back in the day? The main event you got second or first or second, right?
Second in the Aussie Millions, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's yeah, definitely the main event. Having that patience and stamina is a real trait to man. It's fun. It's crazy to see. It's like it really seems impossible, but then when you keep doing it, it's gotta it's possible. So that is very exciting. And where can people follow along? You're more active on Instagram or Twitter, and what is your handle that you keep people up to date with your stuff?
Yeah, I'm not really using Twitter much. I have Instagram. It's like Ben triple underscore Heath.
And wow, nice bet and call. The Queen High decides going to have the best handle out here, and let's see if Alex follows through on the Ace Ace 6-6. And kind of realizing obviously that the nine does change things. King High, Queen High could call very likely. Now he's just going to put a little
Yeah.
blocker value, and if you're lucky here, kind of annoying spot. You were good, and now it just seems kind of weird. And for that price, it looks pretty tempting.
Yeah. is that annoying spot, I think, where you're ahead on the turn a lot, and then when the river comes and they go with this size, you feel like they just have kind of a king high or they've hit a 9. It's pretty tempting for the price, but I I think you're just gonna see them have it a lot. But still tough to fold for getting 6 or 7 to 1.
And what about Alex's spot here with the sizing? I mean, could he even value bet size up here? Or do you just like the size because he accomplishes several things here, getting called by such a hand like this, and also he could just be behind, right? There's a chance that his opponent has a 6 or plays an ace this way. But what are the different
Yeah,
things you consider when you bet the
I,
river this?
I think it's fine. I mean, they have, like you said, they can have an ace or a 6, but they can also just have a better 9 because they have a bunch of just like Jack 9, King 9, Queen 9 that don't fold the turn.
Yep.
So your kicker's not the best either. So I think it's fine to just like go small and hope people, you know, can't bring themselves to fold given the price.
Yep. Yeah, and here we see the king jack flat, ace 4 off, considering options to get maybe out of line in the small, does fold, and Alex Garcia 4-5 off closing. This is definitely a spot we notice more. I think people playing more conservative out of the big blind, especially when there's multi-way. What do you think about 4-5 off there? And would you maybe prefer to have this than like a jack 9 off in this spot to call and complete in the big blind?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be that excited about the 5-4 off or Jack 9 off, to be honest. Seems a little on the loose side. Um, but
I've noticed that. I've seen a lot tighter. That's what I'm saying. Like almost like if you could argue maybe better to have the low cards than Jack 9, which is gonna be more dominated. But yeah, the 4-5 off does seem like a little bit experimental, and he is here even getting on a board that is like okay, well there you go. He got the running fives, and he's got himself a winning hand with some chips out there. Let's see what he's gonna do with the bet. Pretty nice board for him, obviously running fives and. See what he goes with size-wise. Everyone doesn't look like they have too strong a hand here, though. See what he can come up with for a size here. Alex Garcia, not as much info on him. Rocking the Mexico flag. One of your players. You've got a pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't played at all with Alex. Actually, I don't know. Well, Alex Garcia, I've played quite a lot with Alex Kulev, but yeah. I mean, I think pre-flop is very close, and you see most people fold it, but I'm sure defend is somewhat reasonable. Now we're kind of expecting to go with a bigger bet. Kind of like you said, it doesn't look like people have a lot. I don't think you get as many bluffs as you would like on these runouts.
Yeah.
So probably better to just put the money in yourself.
Well, he's burning some chess clock. As you notice, every player starts with 15 minutes. Several players haven't used any. Some players have dug into it here with a value hand. He did take his time and decides to go big. I mean, look, if you got 10x, strong 10, going to be hard to check back. I don't think really anyone has jacks plus here, and he is not going to get called. King 6 suited does show the 4 spades. That's definitely one of the cards will leave you wondering. He did happen to have the goods with that, as we are still again 8-handed, started 9-handed, lost a player already in a flip. Chris Rudolph is your chip leader, a couple healthy stacks. No one really short right now.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot for the ace king, right? Like top 2 stacks. You're not very excited about getting in 65 big blinds. I definitely understand the call from Chris. I think obviously 3-bet's fine too.
Yeah, I mean, one of the benefits of calling is when you do get the ace high, king high flop, your opponent who is going to feel they have the range advantage is going to kind of go to town potentially. And in this spot, you have a zero equity bluffing. I mean, this is kind of masterclass situation. Alex Kulev, one of the best players, but also very aware, right, of ICM and understanding Chris does have some strong just calls in his range. And I wonder if he'll wave the white flag. Also unblocking spades, a queen or a 10. He could think that he's accomplishing several things on the turn, and he might follow through here.
Yeah, I'm kind of expecting him to follow through pretty often here, actually. But yeah, I mean, he'll definitely understand that Chris can have ace king. I don't think Chris is like ace king flat is so surprising that Alex won't know that. I think he can still have jacks and stuff pre, but they would probably check raise one of the previous streets. I think it's like quite a close river decision for Alex, and decides to check in the end, which he'll be happy when he sees ace king that wasn't folding.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's, I guess you start, and then you also maybe consider there are a few hands you could even beat, queen 10 suit or some kind of hands that you're actually beating. So he did have a little showdown value, all those things considered, made a good decision based on what we see. 4 million. Chris was going nowhere with top, and it is now Bert Stevens, the champion, WSOP online champion. Pretty epic. Streamed it on Twitch, won $2.7 million, and he is definitely one of the top players in the world, and he is living his dream on a farm, streaming with his goats and all this stuff. And he was actually my most recent podcast guest, so got to pick his brain a bit more on life and poker. And very interesting guy. How well do you know him? Have you ever met him or played with him? I'm sure you played some online with him.
I've played some online with him, but I don't think he ventures out into the live games too often, and I don't really venture into the online games too often these days, so I haven't had that much interaction with him. I do follow him a little because he's I'm a big fan of the animal stuff. I like the videos of his little like homestead, I guess. I'm not sure what I would call it, or he has a lot of animals. It's great. It's fun to watch the goats running around. So I'm definitely a fan of his. It was great to see him win that huge event.
Yeah, that was I mean, just pretty epic, man. Absolutely epic to do it on stream. Like that is it's cool to see him get into streaming, because I've known him for a while. I used to stream a lot and would play with him a lot, and then it's nice to see that he's taken that path. Definitely has a personality for it, to get on and entertain and have fun. And yeah, he's definitely been a nice refreshing thing with poker. It's good to see him doing that. And I just put the $50 cash that is live, that is out on Twitter, my Jeff Bros Poker Twin. Invite you guys to hit the thumbs up if you're enjoying the show. That will be part of the giveaway for later today, as it will be that plus a keyword at the end of the show. And I do see so many familiar faces, so yeah, good luck to everyone. A nice 3-bet there. The ace 4 suited, is that mandatory at final tables? Do you feel in that spot versus those positions and these stack sizes? I mean, it's obviously a nice 3-bet kind of light spot there, but you don't see everyone take it.
Yeah, I don't think it's completely mandatory. I think, Alex is opening cutoff, but with the chip leader behind him. So it's not like Alex is going crazy there. I think you want to mostly take it, but I don't think, skipping it is a big deal. I actually think that Alex had the option to click it as well, like to click it back there. Chose not to, which obviously fine and kind of the standard play.
Wow. A little light, little under the gun, 9-10 suited and a 3-bet, 4-bet jam there. Well, let me alone. He was literally telling him to leave me alone. He didn't like the 3-bet, and he answered with the big shove there. That is a pretty wild shove.
Yeah, that is that is pretty aggro. That happened very quickly. I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting a little more time bank and maybe a call, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I guess he just thinks Alex is out of line. Alex is very aggressive, and he's kind of like you said, just says, "Don't 3-bet me."
He also has he has won the GGMillions before season 1. He did have one final table and he took that down. We have multiple winners here, including Bert Stevens, who has won in season 1 and season 2. No one has won yet in season 3. 3 final tables so far from Bert Stevens in this 2023 season, and Chris Rudolph, 8 final tables so far in this season 3. That's just season 2023. He has also 7 final tables in season 2 with a win and 2 before. So I mean, we're talking about, this is a guy that shows up. Like I said, I'm happy to have him. He's got the chip lead, and it does kind of just feel like his day. And this season, he has already had so many final tables. It does show you how hard it is to win, right? You can make multiple final tables. I know he's had chip leads at various times, and he is here again in a nice pickup there. Bert understanding the situation that Chris is going to be opening fairly wide, and he did get a big steal through. So really nice recognition from Giraffe Ganger. That's Bert Stevens, and he will stay in with a healthy. Yeah, no one short, right? No one like critical short right now. Everyone's
No,
kind of
not
playability
particularly after
wise.
that hand. Like, Bert was getting a little short there, but now, yeah, it's actually quite a deep final table. I expect we'll see something here from Lev.
Yeah, I mean, he likes spades. He likes 10 of spades, 9-10 suited, Jack 10 suited, even a little stronger. I guess different situation, right? He's under the gun, kind of telling a story. Got 3-bet, and he just said, "Hey, I'm gonna use all the above." But here he's got such a playable hand. And look at this, lucky man. We got a
Wow.
treat today, Ben. People aren't sitting at home. It's a new year. People are playing for titles. They know they're on the big screen. They're firing it up, and this is awkward for ace queen off. Very tricky hand to play, and with this action, get flat. I guess you're not so worried about the flat, right? There's no like short stacks, and these guys are ripping it today, Ben. There is no ICM is not a thing in 2024 on the GG Million. Currently, people are disregarding it, and they're going for the W. They want the trophy. There's been a lot of trophy talk. I keep talking about this. I actually want your opinion on it. Thoughts on trophies? Would you like to see online poker? I know you haven't been playing a lot recently, but do you think that would be a good addition for the sites if they like at the end of the year, let's say they had a certain, GG Million qualifies, Super Million, or certain tournaments, and at the end of the year you get trophies sent to you. I know Patrick Leonard's been an advocate of that, and he actually, I think, there's certain series that do that, but do you think that would be a nice touch, or for you it doesn't matter? Like, would you like to see that?
I agree with that. I think that people really like those things when you see it live, when you have these like, you get some live tours that don't put much effort into that kind of thing, and you get some live tours that really do. And I think that people really like playing for something.
Yeah.
Obviously you're playing for the the money, and you're competitive, you want to win. But I think people like that thing. I mean, you see it with the World Series, right? People just love the bracelets. And I think having that, like, you know, something extra and something to give people that, lasts for a long time makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm definitely with you. And I think it's interesting, like I talk about the full tilt. They used to send a T-shirt every time you knocked a player out. The shipping, the craziness on that. Like, if you know what I mean, like it's much more. If you rein that in, and you get a trophy, right? You get a place. They make them. You can have different ones for different thing at the end. And again, just do it once a year. Get your Christmas package. You won 6
Yeah.
tournaments for the year. That's great. You don't need to get a cent in the mail every day. They can, like, at the end of the year, they save a lot of shipping costs. They could do it one per, person. And again, just you have to draw the line somewhere. You can't give trophies for every single tournament that is spread. That would be a little crazy, but you can draw the line. So, yeah, I think that would be cool. And here we see Lucky with aces and Alex with the King 7 again. We know he's drawing dead, but the pot has now been inflated. And look, you got aces. It's exciting. It's nice, and it's a pretty good board. But yeah, you're aware you can lose to hands, and Alex is gonna. I don't see Lucky on this board in this situation slowing down, but Alex
Yeah,
maybe
I
have
mean, I think it's
some.
interesting, right? Like, I wasn't actually expecting Alex to call the flop, but it's kind of tempting, right? You have the king of spades, the 7 for some backdoor straights, but Lucky Chicken just bet like 55% pot on the flop. I don't think King 7's already not looking great pre-flop versus 3.5x from the small blind. So I was kind of surprised to see the float there. And then I think aces on the turn had a somewhat close decision, because you can, if you do what Lucky Chicken did, you bet 75% pot. You're going to have a lot of awkward river decisions when, getting in a 5 million chip pot at the final table. You need to have a really strong hand to be all in. And with 2 flush draws and all the straight draws out there's going to be some like slightly awkward river spots. So you could opt to check, hope they bluff some like King Jack, or just value bet King 10 and then just check shove and just end the hand there. I think generally you have what you said. You see people want to put the money in, but I think it's quite close.
Yeah, no, definitely interesting. Definitely would have been interesting if you checked too. What Alex would have done, yeah, that would have been another way to approach it. And you do fold out all the air, right, by just ripping it there. So yeah, I think maybe check better. But as it stands, Lucky in healthy position. Chris Rudolph is your chip leader, and no one currently short, as we are getting to see again some of the world's best battle, as Bert will definitely be continuing here at the ace 10 suit. It is under the gun. It is a Gotta respect it. Ace 10 suited has some nice playability. He's gonna not love that flop. And kings with a check back on the 8-8-5. Kind of interesting. I like it. Little pot control, little deception. Kind of a board. Obviously, the eights gonna favor Bert. Could have a lot more eights. Not many 8x gonna be opening under the gun there. But as it stands, see if now maybe he's just genuinely worried. There's a lot going on. There's straights, there's flushes, there's a lot, and maybe even catches an errant, bluff now like this if he checks over. Although Bert kind of has to realize doesn't have the best hand here. There's really not many hands that is going to check, right? Like that open under the gun, the pairs loses to ace jack, ace queen, ace king, but Bert deciding not to stab. And kings, I mean, it's a bit scary, right? You're a bit scary, but at some point, I guess you got to bet something.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can bet the flop quite often. I think the board's slightly less scary than maybe if the stacks were reversed, where the chip leader, if you open and the chip leader defends against you or someone who covers you will have a lot more like 7-8 off. But I don't think Bert's going to defend 7-8 off or jack-8 off versus an under the gun 8 open when he's covered.
Yeah, very good point.
So, the 8's not quite as bad as it looks. But yeah, at some point you do just have to bet with the kings. And I think Bert's hand is kind of standard. You just you're going to lose the pot, but your hand's not very good to bluff with. You just really hope that they have maybe ace 10 of clubs and you drop sometimes.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. I think that's just another intricacy of the game, important to realize at final tables in particular. Yeah, how are the stacks? Who's covering who? And all of a sudden the range and sort of what they're capable of having, you can really narrow it down. And as your point that Bert doesn't just have like random 8x hands probably either. So yeah, I think I can't blame the player for being careful, and there is some value to doing that. You might catch some bluffs and pot control and be deceptive like you have just ace queen ace king. But in terms of being scared, yeah, I think that that shouldn't be as big of a factor as he does win the pot. And again, no one critically short. This is actually a very even kind of dispersed final table. Bert is your short stack, and he still has. He's still got chips. He's not short. It's about 18 blinds roughly, I believe. What, 600, and yeah, he's sitting with plenty of chips to play.
Yeah, it's a nice structure, right? It's nice to see some actual play at the final table.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna get today. Is two big stacks. Lucky been tangoing, been playing an interesting brand, showing us he's not afraid. Chris Rudolph also again now with an interesting board on the ace 10-8. He does have the double gutter, kind of sneaky. No spade in his hand, no pair. Does bet, takes it down at 4 million chips, and certainly king 10 suited going to be going to work. And Alex, as we saw, defend 4-5 off multi-way. Certainly 7-5 suited going to be interested in playing. I guess it is against the chip leader he's covered, and he is against the under the gun raise, but based on how he plays, I can't imagine he would consider folding, and he does call.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think this is a much better situation than the 5-4.
Yeah, significantly better. Also, heads up pot versus multi-way, as he is going to get a pretty easy check out there. King 10 suited, the taxi. I'm in Houston myself right now. Again, Michigan won the national championship. Do you have any idea about college football? Like, do you even know, do you know there was a national championship yesterday, or is that not even it's not even registered?
No. I mean, I know that college football exists and is bigger than any, we don't really have that in the UK where people follow that much, I guess. There's some
the NFL
stuff.
Some NFL, right?
It's really big, right? College stuff is really big in America. I don't think we have viewers for kind of people still in education. It's professional or just university teams. I mean, I am aware in America that it's much bigger, but I had no idea there was anything on.
Yeah, I mean it's a big deal. It's actually crazy because the college football stadiums, to give you an idea on, do you know how big the biggest college stadium attendance? What do you think they can hold stadium in US college?
I wouldn't know the biggest, but I do remember hearing something like a college game got 110,000 people or something and thinking that was just absurd.
Well, yeah, so that's actually where I was born and raised in Ann Arbor, Michigan. It's called the Big House. They hold like 113,000, and that's who
Okay.
won the national championship yesterday, Michigan. And that's what like the first time since '97, and they're like the most, you know, the most famous, historic, and decorated university for football. And it's like been a long time since they've done, had a great year. So it was pretty cool. But anyway, yeah, that they had the stadiums literally are bigger than the NFL. Like they get like 100, 110,000, 80, 90,000 like for the schools, and they sell out. So it's like actually bigger. The NFL stadiums are like 70, 60,000. So it's actually kind of weird how that works, but that is how I get, because the universities with the students makes sense, I guess. But yeah, kind of crazy. But yeah,
Yeah, it was crazy to me. I remember when I heard that, I was like quite shocked at
yeah.
how big these stadiums were and how big of a viewership like base there is.
Yeah, people are a bit obsessed with football in general, and it is definitely it's interesting actually. The U.S. soccer, the MLS, obviously Messi coming, and it's been progressing. There's 32 teams now, but they're selling out games, and new teams are coming in, and it's grown a lot. And also people watch more, like they're just more in tune to Serie A, Bundesliga, champions, what the EPL, the English Premier League. Like people are watching it in the US, and they have it on the Saturday afternoons, and it's in bars and stuff. So it's like it's actually grown a lot in popularity, I would say, the game in general, which is cool. Who do you
Yeah.
support? Do you have a team that you follow closely?
Uh, not really actually. I'm not uh one of the few English people, I guess, that doesn't follow football either. Yeah, I don't know, never really got into it. I just did. I guess I did different sports when I was young, so just like never that interested in watching sports I don't play because you just don't know that much about it. But
Yep. Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, look, not I assume everyone in the UK has a team, but I know that's not the case. Not everyone's like diehard. Although it's like Brazil and the UK, I assume that, as we are going to see hello from Bert, sevens to ace queen classic flip, and this is not good news for Giraffe Ganger. He is going to need lightning in a bottle. He has to hit a 7 and a 7, only 2 outs on the river, one to come. It is paint, and that is going to be GG to the man, the myth. He is your eighth place finisher. A lot of respect. Look at the table golf claps all around. Literally every single player just giving the man a nod, who is literally that was like a unanimous good game for the guy. So Bert, if you're watching, I think you're probably streaming, but cheers. Good game again. Nice to see you. And he has been on an absolute tear. So good to see him again, as he will not be repeating as GG Millions. And Chris, man, it's looking good for dinner right now. Long way to go. A lot of play left, but 5-0. And he has got so many final tables and no title this season. So he is focused and on a mission. Love to have Chris on. He's one of those guys I can't even really invite on the show, because I have to, like, then we have to have a backup, right? Because he's probably like, he's a favorite to
yeah,
be at a final
he's
table.
just always in there.
It's tricky. So hey, if he's listening or watching and you'd like to be on, please reach out. But we will have to schedule a backup, because he is like, yeah, the percentage of time he's there, it's high. And same with David Yan. He was a leader. He also is like always there. He was on and came from a difficult time zone. Very tough player. You probably played a fair amount with David, right, over the years?
Yeah, we played actually quite a lot recently because he's been traveling to most of the live stuff recently, or at least like all the training stuff. So yeah, I played with him quite a lot recently. I mean, I used to play cash with him years ago as well. I think we were both playing like same stake Zoom for a while at a similar time. So I've just played with him a lot over the years.
Yeah, this is an interesting one where no player even connects with the queen and really has no draw. So 4-5 just has a check mark on the hand. Is going to just play a coy a couple times, and now, I mean, a couple things come in, right? I guess really only Jack King, sort of the hand that you would be worried about most, but the 10, ace 10 does pair on the river. And let's see if Lucky can get some value here. Although, I mean, if you have ace 10, you're not really liking it. Definitely a five's possible. You lose to various hands. Price is right, but I don't know. For that price, I guess there's a world where you're good. But let's see if Let Me Alone, he does snap it off. Okay, so Lucky gets a little bit of value, and 4-5 off out of the big blind, Ben. I might have to make a note. Two for
That's a
two
good.
so far. That might be a new hack that has been running and flopping, or one time runner five, one time flop trips. Either way, it's one 2 for 2 that we've seen in the big blind, closing it off here as kings will get no action. Actually, Alex folds a 3-4 off, but calls a 4-5. Little different situation, little different dynamic, and also stacks and blinds also different, right? At that time, 4-5 off.
Yeah, I mean,
a bit wide. It's like deeper, and I don't know. Yeah, you would probably have folded though. You're saying that would have been you would lean towards fold at that time.
yeah, I mean, I was actually thinking about the 5-4 last hand as well. I thought was like, again, a very close decision, which I think I would have folded to.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the 3-4, I think is a relatively clear fold. I think there's quite a big difference between 5-4 and 4-3 of like being able to make multiple straights.
Yeah.
Like quite a big drop off where you'll see 5-4 off defending in a lot of situations, but 4-3 off rarely gets in there.
Yeah.
That was a big shove from Chris, right? Alex opened what 2.5x off 30 bigs. Well, I guess he's got 31 now, so I guess he had almost 33 and almost 34. And Chris just ripped it with the ace-2 suited. Yeah, chips are definitely flying today.
No, guys are firing. They're putting a show on. This has been exciting to watch. I mean, I genuinely say there's been so many interesting shows. Like I always get surprised. It seems like people are going for it and having a good time, but this has been definitely action. I'd say in terms of household names, a few players a little more unknown, but obviously Chris Rudolph known, obviously Alex Kulev, Let Me Alone, also very talented, seen him a lot. And then you got Kusanov, who is knocked out, and then Bert Stevens. So I mean, there are I'd say mixed names, but GGMillion provides some of the biggest and brightest stars, and also some of the players here who are unfamiliar with also seem to be very competent and willing to go for it, which is fun to see. Sometimes the unknowns you kind of see just try to survive and fold and ladder, but that doesn't seem to be the case today.
Yeah, I guess you get that kind of, you don't know which way it's going to go, right? But I've definitely seen, I guess across poker, some people who you don't see as often might not play professionally. You don't know whether they're going to be like really scared and the money's going to really mean something to them, or whether they're just playing for fun and they just want to like rifle it off at every opportunity and try and own someone's stream. So it's always fun to watch. But yeah, I think we have actually quite an aggressive final today because I think Chris I haven't played Chris in a while much, but I think he's like, he's very good and aggressive. Alex is aggressive. Sorry, Alex Kulev, and this Alex Garcia seems to not be shy about putting money in. And then Lev and Lucky Chicken have already shown that they're both willing to put money in today. Haven't seen too much out of either of these two. Blind Best Blind, maybe we'll see something now. Give us an idea of how willing they are to put money in.
Yeah, it's ace, deuce, and fives again. Both the reasonably strong hands here, although we are still 7-handed. So, yeah, both players just a call, and wow, I mean that is up there on the action flops. Although the ace, deuce, it's top pair and just gets called. Going to realize losing to a variety of hands right now, including most notably would be a stronger ace, which is definitely possible when you get called, right? When you open and get peeled here, but he is going to start with a check and a set of fives. I mean, this is absolute gin in a bottle. Hit the bottom set, and he's got a good situation brewing right now. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Like even when you 3.5x the ace deuce off, even on the flop, you're not like that happy as you would be, in a kind of non-final table situation. You're aware that you can easily be behind. Quite surprised to see the fives check back here. I typically think that when people raise and then don't see bet these kind of boards, they have something because people like to kind of bluff the boards that are perceived as good for the raiser. So, when they have the like Jack 10 off, they're going to see bet a lot. So I kind of, my view would be that you're not going to see that many check folds on the flop, and there's fives. You should just like, put more money in. Went for the kind of sneaky check.
Yeah,
does make
I
it a little hard.
yeah.
But
I mean, with the flush draw board too, and like the guy pushing up there, I just would be. Yeah, I'm a little surprised at that. I mean, look, this run out may be able to get away. Both players from, I believe, Ukraine, and this is now. I mean, Ace Deuce isn't going to love to see a bet 6-8 suited. You know, 6-8 could possibly call right, but would pre. I mean, you lose to flushes, the straight, your ace kickers. I mean, facing a big bet here, you just there's not a lot of things you're doing well against.
yeah, I mean, this got one of those hands where with the ace deuce, you know, when you check flop and they check back, you're suddenly feeling pretty good about your hand, and then suddenly the next 30 seconds went very downhill. Uh, really tough decision here on the river, but it's definitely, I mean, it's not a nice situation. It's, like you said,
Yeah,
there's just so many hands you lose to.
yeah. I mean, I guess what are you
And
thinking? King queen, king queen, king jack off. I mean, something like that with a club or king like these type of Broadway with one club hands. But I mean, even then, it's just you start getting pretty thin
yeah,
on what you're doing, what you're going to win against. So does get out of the way, and we are going to see it. Wow, a lot of decent hands here. King nine suited, Alex Garcia been pretty active. Ace 10 suited, Chris Rudolph, your chip leader. I think Alex starting to consider too, just how often is he going to get through the later two positions here. Chris is, King nine suited. This is definitely a reasonable hand to open with this stack size, and he does.
yeah, I was going to say because I find it interesting when people kind of time bank the initial open, but it looks like maybe he was time banking the open size. Um, but yeah, it looks like it might actually go four-way here, right? Because I think Chris will mostly call. Wow. I didn't expect to see Chris fold that. The open's like 160, right? 162 or something. Yeah, 162. Yeah, I mean, I obviously it's a different open size where you have someone suddenly 2.7xing. Um, but I think as Chris, like you still need to call. It's like Alex, you can see it's not like Alex is insanely tight, right? He's got king nine suited, he would have ace five suited, ace eight suited, ace nine suited. Uh, People behind you are a little handcuffed when you call as the chip leader, and even Alex post flop, right? It's not like Alex is just going to barrel it off against you every time into the chip leader when you're going to have a pretty strong range calling his 2.7x. So quite surprised to see the ace 10 suited there folding.
Yeah, that could have been a little bit read dependent, just sort of. And also, he's in such a good position right now. But I'm also a little surprised. I think and then Alex, who on this board has doesn't bet here, and I guess he just feels that this is going to connect a lot with the flatting range here. Although, I mean, King nine suited, decent board to sort of bluff with. What do you think about the delayed C bet versus the C bet flop?
Yeah, I think it's interesting where I think it looks like if you think about the small blind call versus this big open, it's going to have a lot of stuff around the queen and the jack, right? Some like ace queen off, king queen types, and then some pairs like eights. So actually, the delayed c bet works reasonably well because on turns they're going to carry on checking hands like eights and sixes, and then you get to bluff them. Then they're just going to check fold, and if they flop something like queen jack or ace queen, they'll probably bet the turn. So you get to kind of let them tell you whether they have ace queen and flop top pair, or whether they have just like a pocket pair and completely missed. So uh yeah, I don't mind the delayed c bet at all. I think it can be quite nice.
Yeah, well, good execution takes it down, and he is in good position. 2.2 million again. No one really short. This is one of the more even distributions I've seen at this GGMillion. I mean, Chris Rudolph has 5 million. Everyone else really tight between the 3.1 and 1.7. So it is wide open right now, and
Yeah, I mean, if
how it plays out.
so, yeah, I was going to say if Giraffe had won that flip, it was going to be like kind of dead even between everyone, right?
Yeah.
That was a big flip for Chris to win.
Yeah, massive. I mean, it's yeah, it is always these everyone at the final table rooting against each other, right? They want people knocked out, especially when it's a talented player. But as it stands, it is really for the taking. And at the moment, Chris does have some nice separation. Let's see if he can keep the pressure on and extend his lead. And still not at a point where people are like so short, you can just start going wild. But obviously, if he keeps extending and some of the guys get shorter, you can see interesting dynamic play out. It's very rare on the GG Million that I've seen a runaway train. It's just very rare where someone just gets to go and start, ripping it in and really taking it down to the, getting people down to the wire. There's so many talented players. People aren't afraid. I feel like they call, they also disregard ICM a bit in certain spots, and they make some big calls. And I rarely ever see someone just have all the chips and people just like getting dwindled down. But we'll see. We'll see if Chris can do it today. He has an opportunity at the moment, and these players don't seem afraid, Ben. They just don't seem afraid. This is not the.
No, you have kind of what you're saying as well, I guess, that as soon as someone gets the chips where it looks like they might be able to run away with it, everyone else is going to be more incentivized to play back against them, knowing how wide they are. So, I think you often have that kind of naturally even out in terms of for them to really run away with the tournament, they also just need to get good cards, because the wider they open, everyone else knows that and just plays back more. So, but like, if you get that combination of where, like we just saw, Chris opens ace queen off in a spot where he'd be opening a lot, people then shove wide on you. If you have the cards as well, like that's when you can run away with these things. This was actually an interesting hand. Like Lucky Chicken, I think, just came out with the like 150% pot on the flop.
Wow. King six with the club, not amused, and Lucky Chicken going to wave the white flag. And if you're King six here, I mean, you got a fair amount of showdown. You beat the bluffs. Like, Kim just pretty happy to knuckle this back. Don't think you feel you have to bluff. Although, right, you do have a club. Maybe there's some world where you feel inclined that you need to turn your hand to a bluff. But I would imagine he's going to be content with showdown here.
Oh, honestly, I think if he bets, it would be value in the sense that when someone like 150% pots the flop, you will see them be very polar in terms of just have like real trash like he has, and then just like ace queen plus. So when he checks the turn, it's unlikely he's got the value. And then when he checks the river again, it's really unlikely. And you're more likely to just see him have a hand like he has, like jack deuce or jack three. Because the value that can overbet on the flop is also strong enough to bet the turn and the river, right? He's not just going to bet like king queen for 150% pot on the flop. So I think that Alex is probably thinking that like once it goes overbet and then two checks, that he's actually just kind of nailed where Lucky Chicken is at and just thinks, yeah, he's just going to have like this kind of deuce X and 3X often, and was just trying to get like a kind of sneaky thin value bet where he thinks he's just never behind and kind of free rolling it.
Yeah.
I think it's like quite tough in those spots. You want to be quite confident about your read, but there are definitely spots where people play that way, and I think it's like a reasonable spot to try and get a little value bet.
Well, I mean, this has got the
spot.
makings of a big pot. I mean, obviously Chris covering, he is going to go ahead and just rip it in here. And Alex Garcia, who, I mean, man, ace king, and look at the stacks. This is one where would you maybe think about this to not want to flip, but he is going to go for the jugular here. Let's see, is Chris going to run away, or are we going to have a new chip leader? We're going to find out very fast as the turn is clean. The river, big moment, 6 outs. He's saying GG. He's trying to reverse energy it. Not going to work. GG is correct. Alex Garcia is your 7th place finisher. Golf claps all around, 6-handed, and Chris Rudolph has got a absolute pile right now. He is in dominant place. And ace king, tell me about it, Ben. Is that a mandatory 3-bet call off, or would you look around at the stacks, say, hey man, what does Chris have there? Are we flipping? If you can see the cards, you might want to, I mean, the risk premium's high there to go out. What are your thoughts with the ace king off?
Yeah, I think it's hard. I think that like, you have some spots earlier where it was like Chris against Kulev where you don't even 3-bet the ace king initially from the big blind when they're really deep. Here, where you're not that deep with Lev, it's kind of a mandatory 3-bet from the small blind. You know, you also want to be 3-betting more from the small blind, right? Because you're not closing the action. And then, you know, while if someone kind of initially asked you, do you want to be all in against Chris at the start of the hand? You don't really, but once you've 3-bet and there's just so much money in the pot and you're getting such good odds, and Chris just has ace king a lot as well. Like you flip with queens and jacks, but also like, which isn't that fun for you, right? Because you're flipping, there's an overlay in the pot, but you'd really rather not. But quite often they just have ace king, and then it's not even flipping. There's just so little variance there. So I think you're just forced in at that point. And yeah, while at the start of the hand you don't really want to get all in, once there's all that money in the middle, you don't really have a choice, unfortunately.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's so that's just one of those spots you're saying that's gonna go in.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it just has to.
Yeah. That's yeah, tough spot. I mean, Chris is in a massive, well, like, I mean, he's a huge favorite right now. What do you believe with six-handed with his stack? What percent of the time do you think he wins in this dynamic with this breakdown? He's actually got a great seat too. Unlucky Chicken, right? Who's next in line? He's direct left.
Yeah, so he has 7.5 out of 18.5 or something. Yeah, it was maybe like 40, low 40s.
Wow.
But you kind of see what I said there, where you know, as he gets to this stack where you expect him to run away with it a bit more, he 3-bet Kulev there with ace 5 off versus the early position open, and Kulev min 4-bet with ace 10 off. So you get that little back and forth, right? Where you think, okay, he's got chips now, he can 3-bet the ace 5 off, but Kulev knows that and comes back with the min 4-bet with you know, something as weak as ace 10 off. So, you know, when you're playing good aggressive players who are aware of what you can do with the chip lead, they are going to at least make you work for it. It's not like it's just you have chips, you can now run Kulev over. Like he's going to play back at you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. That was a big pop. King 10 suited, ace 9 off. So here we go. Chris is going to get in the streets. Both players going to miss. Again, we always like to say it as Lucky is dropping some emoji, some hockey gift. King 10 suited going to float, pick up a diamond flush draw. And it is a tough spot now for Alex, who ace 9 has the best hand. Can't think there's too many times he has the best hand. Still beats some suited broadways, but no spade in his hand either. Interesting. I mean, he could. Let's see. This is going to check back, and Chris now. Ooh, interesting. Very interesting. King high, 800 in the middle. I mean, Alex's hand does look fairly weak, right? With the double. Oh wow. So Chris gonna sense that and just goes for it. Really, really strong play there. Well.
Yeah, interesting hand. I think that seems fine for everybody. One of those things where, you know, Chris is very experienced and good, but it is nice having this stack. You know, makes you feel a bit more comfortable with those huge bluffs, right? Knowing that even if you get called, you're still big chip leader. It does, you know, he's experienced, but it's still a little easier to pull the trigger, however much you played, knowing that you know, worst case, you're still chip leader.
Yeah. Yeah.
This happened very quickly. I wouldn't have expected this, to be honest. I thought that this would just be a raise. I would expect to see something like this a little more if maybe someone like Lucky Chicken had, you know, 9 big blinds where you just have that like absurd, like real pressure on people. I mean, I think this is going to be fine. I just didn't really expect it. I would have thought he was going to open, but you know, it does avoid this, right? You're going to open the button and small blind was going to shove 6 on you. Now you probably get them to fold.
Yeah, it's actually super interesting. In some ways, it's almost you're right about like the 9 blind thing, but it's sort of everyone is so tight on their stack sizes too. It's almost like this, you really don't want to be calling off there. I mean, I'd be interesting to see what the actual ICM, what would be your instinct with the 1.7 to call? Well, how strong a hand do you think you'd have to have there from the player?
I honestly, so there's 24. I would imagine it's like quite close to sixes in terms of sevens or eights or something. I think that you're going to see Chris have a lot of just like ace four suited pocket fours and stuff in that big shove. And it does suck that when they just have the queen 10 off, but he's never going to shove eights or nines on the button there, right? He's going to raise and hope the small blind shoves the smaller pairs. So, when you have eights, it's like, yeah, you don't want to flip against queen 10 off, but sometimes they have ace four suited or fours and you're crushing them. So I would think that even the sixes is quite close, and you probably start calling sevens or eights. Yeah, it's like you said, it's like tough spots when everyone's so close. You don't have a really short stack, but there's also, there's a lot to play for because you're kind of fighting for a second almost, right, between the 5 of you.
Yep. Yeah, as we see queen 10 suited, pretty hand, king 6 off, gonna flop top pair versus middle pair. And although not a great kicker, it is top pair. And let's see, queen 10 suited. Might be inclined to check back here. Just has a choice to bet, goes quarter pot. Somebody,
yeah, I think that's fine. I think they just assume that it's a spot where they'll be opening so tight here into like all covering stacks that range wise they're just doing so much better on the king queen 4 that they're probably just starting off with just betting everything for 25% pot and then kind of start playing more checks on the turn if you get continued.
Yeah, nice river there.
Nice river for the queen 10. I think the king 6 is a decision here. It seems kind of close between check and a block.
Definitely not an amazing card, although you kind of don't worry as much about the flushes, right? You would think that with that range advantage on the queen king 8-4 2 heart, if the player did pick up a turned heart draw, would probably continue to keep the pressure. It's gonna be hard to get raised on the turn there. So yeah, now the king 6, wow, goes for the slight overbet as queen 10 though. I mean, as played, you don't love this either, but it's kind of hard to be folding here at a.
I might be seeing it right. I think there was just 550 in the middle, right? On the river? No.
Okay, I thought it was 4. I thought it was 350. You're right. So it's not quite pop, but yeah, big size.
Yeah, I was expecting kind of more check or a third pot. I think you can see even the queen 10 doesn't seem that happy about it. I think that might be a little thin for the king 6. That might be something where, if the river was a 2 or just anything like below a 7, pretty much, you can kind of really go for those big bets because the imposition is going to have so many of those type of holdings. But you on the 10, you lose pocket 10s, queen 10, some like queen jack, ace queen of hearts, the kind of flush draws with showdown value, and then ace jack, and maybe even something like jack 9 that didn't bluff the turn. So it also kind of makes it a little harder for you to bluff, right? Because on a 6, it's very easy for imposition to think you're bluffing just like 9, 10, jack 10 yourself. So when the 10 rivers, a lot of those hands pair up, you have to be a little more creative with finding the bluffs so people won't hero call you quite as much. So, I think all of that makes you want to size down a bit with the king 6.
Yeah, it didn't seem like a fantastic river card. Of course, cards up, always a little bit easier to feel it and sense it and say, oh yeah. So I do think that was a bit of a scary card to bomb into, as we are going to see ace queen. Not worried, just saw some collisions, but again, gotta fight. Can't just be passive and try to make it through. Certain hands just need to risk it, and there he does fire it in. As again, very tight, all the stacks other than Chris. 8 million versus 2.3, 2.3, 2.3. 1.7 and 2, essentially, got a 5-way tie for second, and then first as ace queen, ace 8 gonna step up the aggression here, and ace 6 suited. You're like, man, I got a suited ace on the button. I have to open. This feels bad, and again, maybe some fellow countrymen battling here a bit. Ace 6 suited, one of those hands could get. And calling doesn't feel right? But could he put the pressure on here?
It's quite awkward. I think that, like, again here, min 4-betting is an option. But I think that fold is pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like an awkward situation there. I was just thinking as well, actually, that something I'm not used to from the games I usually play is that the ante is changing whenever someone busts. I'm so used to playing big blind ante these days.
Yep.
And you just have that static one big blind in there in the middle, but it's quite a lot of things to keep track of when you're playing these online finals, and you go from playing kind of a 9-handed full ante game to I'm not sure what is it like, just so you're going to be playing kind of 3-handed with a third of a big blind in the ante. It's quite interesting.
Yep. Yeah, no, it does change here as we see another couple of big hands. Lucky, who was very healthy, a little bit shorter now. Ace queen again. Do you just, I guess, stack wise getting a little bit shorter, could just pile. King jack suited, definitely a bit of a bummer here. Chris, who has been opening wide, that's a pretty hand, but not to call off, as he will fold.
Yeah, those I don't know about everyone else, but personally, I always feel like those ones are annoying. When you're meant to be opening wide, but you have a real hand, and then you get shoved on anyway. Like king jack is not a fun one to have to fold.
No, it's not. And here, just gonna call. King 10 suited, ace 10 suited, dominated. But again, 8-4 deuce, ace 10 suited. This is sort of in the middle, right? You're kind of like, man, this is frustrating because I didn't connect, but I also just have the best hand a lot, and he is gonna come out betting. And if you're Chris Rudolph on the 8 deuce 4 with the back door, gonna float and see if he gets a favorable turn. Also, though, just gonna have some range advantage now, and he's just gonna come on out and lead, which is pretty nice here. Because again, a hand such as this, ace 10, ace jack, ace queen, even ace king, it starts getting not so fun. If you peel here, SPR, stack to pot ratio starts getting close, and he's gonna find out where he's at. Really well done there from Chris. Nice recognition that he's just gonna have a huge range advantage on that turn for the value, and he does get ace 10 suited to fold. Would have been interesting if he had tens or a overpair there, how he would have proceeded, maybe call and decide, but yeah, he does not, and Chris is back to his 8 million.
Yeah, it definitely would have been interesting hand. Yeah, I think it's a good line from Chris.
Ace queen 7-8, king 6-6, leave me alone. Picks it up, nice pot. Every pot.
Yeah, I think that's good from Lev as well. I think that's a situation, kind of like we said earlier, where the chips, those boards aren't great for you as the opener, the king 6-6, where the big blind's going to have like 6-4 off, and you don't open that many 6-X. But in these ICM situations where they might not even defend 6-5 off, like they really don't have that many trips either. So kind of ended up being like the king is very good for you, and the 6 is a lot less meaningful than normal. So it's nice to see Lev c-bet the ace queen there. That would often be a check back for chips.
Yeah, now Lucky, who steps out with the ace jack, just looking to take it down there. Can't blame him for showing aggression, but when you get shoved on now, you shrink up. I mean, you're just kind of praying if you had tens or something, but yeah, you're not going to really want to be pulling off. He does step away from that situation, as it is, again, a 6-handed battle. We got a giveaway for you guys. 50 or 100, hit the thumbs up. That's the first part. We'll give a keyword. And then again, Jeff Grows Poker, Twitter, pinned tweet, $50 cash. Also on the podcast, just did that giveaway. Got my, coming up on 200th episode, got a 200 times 5 giveaway on Jeff Grows Podcast Twitter. So Ben, it will be our guest next week on the podcast. Looking forward to that. We'll try to not pick his brain too much on outside events and things. We'll save it for that. But again, you can follow him on Instagram. He mentioned his handle before, but you're not active on Twitter much. You just kind of have it. And then do you post updates? Do you do any action selling? Any type of not, you don't, I know you haven't streamed yet. Have you considered streaming on Twitch or vlogging, any of that stuff? Or is that, I know it's not, hasn't been your like main thing, but do you ever consider that?
I haven't really considered streaming because I haven't played online pretty much at all for the last 2 or 3 years. And I think sometimes like the vlogging stuff is quite hard. I think the games I always feel like are so intense these days, where I'm just going on these 9 to 11 day trips usually, where you're just playing every day all day. I don't know if I have it in me to even really focus on stuff. I do try to post updates on Instagram, but no, other than that, like not much, nothing on Twitter, not much action selling, you know, on Instagram or anything. And yeah, so far no. I've done like a couple of streams, I guess, in the last couple of years, but it's hard. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's hard to find time for some of the stuff and like find the energy, I guess.
Yeah. How old are you?
31.
31. Okay. Still got a little left in the tank for energy, man. I'm 37, 2 kids. 31 is, you still got, it does get, I'll tell you, with the travel, it does get, it's kind of blends together. The stops, a lot of the same ones. I know you play the Tritons and travel and the World Series. I feel like the summers blend together between going there so long. It's like almost hard to remember which year certain things or events happen, but it is, it's fun. And do you have any stops in particular, like Triton, that you enjoy, that you just like, I won't miss?
I don't miss any Tritons at the moment. Like there's only 4 a year, and they're just, the games are good and the experience is great. So I just don't miss those. And I generally never miss EPT Monaco, which I really like. Other than that, like, even World Series this past World Series, I only went out for 2.5 weeks of the kind of 7 or 8. Yep. So I've been kind of reducing my days playing quite a lot recently.
Yeah, Negrani's been preaching the quality over quantity. It seems like that's your take as well. You just feel like more dialed in, more refreshed. You want to focus on the ones you want to play and then enjoy and do other things. So it seems to be, I think, the preferred way. I mean, it also, as you say, as you get older a little bit, as you played longer, you kind of, I'm sure you've done that where you played World Series and you just play every day, every event, you just go and do it. And that it does get tiring. And I generally find that is not the best results. Although when you're 18 or 21, 22, 25, it's a little different than when you start hitting the 30s and you've played a lot and you kind of, it's just, it's different. That's what I found. I remember being in Vegas and just playing every day for, 5-6 years during the series. And it is not as easy to do that as you put on some miles, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I was the same. I think my first Vegas, I went out for 50 days or something and played 49 days. And I have no real desire to do that right now. Even these like 11-day trips kind of take their toll.
Yeah. Yeah, I think 2 weeks is a good number. And the Vegas thing is a real grind. It's also so easy to get excited, right? And it's like there are just so many events, especially if you play kind of mixed games with PLO. And there's always going to be a tournament, even if you bust. So that's a little bit trickier. But yeah, it's great to see. I mean, live poker is an amazing place, and there's been a lot of new stops. I know the APT has events. There's the Triton, of course. Then you got, there's been the EPT. There's of course the GG. Just did Bahamas. That was a very cool stop. They've added that, but it was wild that there was literally 3 major series like at the same time, and they all kind of hit their guarantees and in marks, right? That was pretty crazy, and just a little bit of FOMO overload. In a way, it's kind of nice they do that, because then at least you choose one. But if it's like back to back to back to, that's also that's hard, right? It makes you make some tough choices and maybe even burn out more. So I don't know. I'm a little surprised they did overlap that much though. But
Yeah, me too. I mean, I actually one of the other ones that I don't like to miss is EPT Prague, just because of how much I love Prague that time of year. Just kind of gone 8 or 9 years. I went to Prague that time of year before I was playing poker as well, and I love it. But this year, like you said, having Bahamas and Vegas quite close to each other, dates wise, and that side of the world, it was enough to get me to skip Prague. But yeah, it was crazy to see those three tours all same time. Oh,
Oh,
big pot here. I think
big pot.
tough
Queens
spot.
to eights. Yeah, gonna misstep. Scary board for Queens, but as it's all in, he now just has to fade that card, which we know what it is. Alex, can he do it? Can he be on his way? No crazy run out. That is going to be GG there. Claps around, 5 left, payouts lower left. You can take a look. Everyone has already been guaranteed 6 figures, but now guaranteed 137. That was a big pay jump as we are 5-handed. You can take a look at fourth all the way up to 363,000 to first place. Chris has his eye on that, sort of locked up, almost double second with Alex, and like 4 times most of the other 2 remaining players, or other 3 remaining. So in a good spot right now. But Alex, who is a very accomplished player, has his eye on that title as well. So he's not going to roll over. But Chris still sort of slowly chipping up. Now he's at 8.4. He was at 8, and he is in a good position to do so. Again, Happy New Year. Welcoming everyone. Ben Heath joins us, over 20 million in live earnings. He is a high stakes crusher. He also is traveling the world playing, and you can give him a follow again on Instagram. He mentioned his name. You guys can search. I'm sure it'll come right up, and we will be playing to a winner. Third on the all-time money list, a good buddy of mine, Mr. Trickett. Do you eye that? Do you see that you're like a couple 100,000 away from number 2? Is that a goal to be number 1 ever in the UK? Do you look at that stuff, or do you not really? Does that not motivate you?
Uh, Not. I mean, it's kind of a strange one for me, I guess, because uh, Trickett's not playing anymore. That much in these events, so it's kind of a given that I'll be higher just because of how many blinds I'm playing per year.
Oh, hold that thought. We got
Um,
ace 9, ace 8 all in. Can't blame both players. What a board this is. Could it possibly chop? Oh,
wow.
hello. That is a wild turn, as we are going to see a river, and it is a 3. That will be a knockout in a very, very sick event. I mean, honestly, either way, right? This could have been shove call. It's sort of a cooler that turned out to be a reverse cooler, as Alex is going to strike lightning there. The 8. What a board that was. Ace, ace, king with the 9
Yeah.
playing. Turn 8 and hold, as we are 4-handed. We're going to cue the giveaway very soon as we are moving fast. So again, you're saying it's sort of a default that you're going to be number 2. Just Sam sort of, you hit that 10 million score in the one drop 2012. Not playing as much tournaments, really none. And so yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
I mean,
And you got that basically checked off. But then yeah, to number 1. Is
but
that?
then I was going to say, I mean, not particularly. I think Stevie plays way more than like he plays more volume than me. He's been playing, and he's just like so far ahead that I think it's just I'm kind of like dead to get there.
Yeah.
So not something I'm too focused on.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Lucky Chicken. Big spot. Always sad to lose those ones. This hand looks like it could get quite big as well.
Oh yeah.
Quick lev
Yep.
with the gut shot and flush draw. Alex, yeah, gonna raise. And now you kind of interesting. I mean, I was expecting Lev to pull there. I guess. Yeah, I guess he just thinks that maybe he's dominated sometimes by higher clubs, and but I thought he was still cool. You can still. It's like Alex is gonna have strong hands a lot, and when you hit the 6 on the river, it's quite a disguised hand.
I was
I
curious if
was
you would feel
surprised to see
too.
the fold, but not too much.
Yeah, I just wonder if he feels he'll get paid on the club, and then it's such a big price, he's out of position, and yeah, kind of a weird one. All
Yeah,
right,
I
so
think if he had something like 4 deuce of clubs, it's pretty reasonable to fold. I was expecting, with the extra gut shot that you might see a call, but um,
yeah, well, Alex right on the
yeah,
heels
quite
of
an interesting spot now, right? We went from kind of a lot of even stacks to now 2 people clearly ahead and 2 people kind of fighting for third and fourth. I mean, obviously they can spin it up. but currently fighting for third and fourth at least.
Wow, goes for the limp. Very important. I feel like it's such an important time of the tournament to, yeah, to separate there. I just wonder, yeah, see, you like the limp, or would you like to see just kind of pick it up and set? I mean, they're like dead even. I guess King Jack a little bit awkward, although, yeah, pretty good hand, small blind, big blind there, and out of position now. Gonna get just gets to this is one of the downsides of limp being let check back is that. But are you good with that, or would you like to see an more aggressive play, either a raise or a shove in the small there?
Uh, I'm pretty happy with the limp. I think it's just really awkward where you're going to fold out some hands that you dominate, where you fold out the like jack six offs and stuff that you would like to play a pot against.
Right.
It's not the most fun if you raise and get shoved on. Like, you probably just have to call it off when you're the shortest stacks because you don't really want to give them chips. So I think it's a little awkward. I think it's a spot where kind of all of the options, apart from fold, are going to be, making a decent bit of money, and you can do all of them. I think my default would be limp, but yeah, kind of
Yeah.
happy with the others too.
And I do want to say the giveaway keyword is out. That's going to be 50 or $100, and that is keyword. It's going to be GGPoker space Ben space your GGPoker username, as we are seeing some bluffing here. Although, I mean, Jack high with the missed clubs isn't so attractive. Although he was thinking a little bit there. And leave me alone now. I mean, we do have some tough players here. This is going to be an interesting battle to the end here, as Chris and Alex are two of the more experienced players.
Yeah, I mean, these are the interesting spots you see, right, where they both have good hands at the moment. Kind of interesting to see how they play these spots because they also, even Chris, right, he covers him, but he doesn't want to suddenly be in a 12 million chip pot right now, and then he'll be like, if he loses a big pot here, suddenly his situation is reversed and he's in second with a lot of pressure on him. So it's kind of interesting where Alex and Chris don't really want to play these huge pots against each other. Yeah, this is the thing, I guess, where, I haven't been playing online, but I guess if I played these, it would maybe take some adjusting for me where I'm just so used to playing these short-handed spots with the big blind ante, and suddenly it's like kind of gradually getting closer to, like no anti-cash ranges. We're at a half ante right now. It's interesting to see the adjustments.
Yeah, this is where the big bucks are. Final four. This is time. I mean, this is a very healthy payout today. 363 up top. I mean, there's no deal making at the GG Million. We're going to see a winner today. It is going to be played down to a winner, Chris, with 9.2 million. Very good spot, but a lot. What do we got in our thing? You got Alex and Vladimir, and I have Let Me Alone, right? Do I have Let Me Alone also? I think I do.
Yeah, I definitely have Alex.
I think you have Vladimir.
Yeah.
I don't know. I need to start writing these down.
I had both Alexes, and I had Lucky Chicken, and then I had Vladimir, I think.
Yep, that's right. That is right. Looks good for dinner, but it's never over. And Alex is definitely right there. I mean, this is too tight to call, but at the moment, Chris with a very good spot with 50 at 100K. As I say that, he is disconnecting, so that's not a good thing. But got a lot of chips, and I'm sure he'll find some good internet. Austria represented here. You know who's been taking a break on this GG Millions is Brazil. There has not been a big Brazil representation, I will say. I have not seen that flag, and usually they're auto seat. Auto seat.
With, maybe taking some time off over the holidays.
Yeah, is it Carnival maybe period coming up? Let's see. I don't know. I think it's usually February or January is coming too. Who knows? You never know. But it's just been a little light in the Brazil. It's I like literally stamped 1 or 2, 3 seats total between Austria and Brazil as Let Me Alone. Gonna find a welcome ace king off 15 blinds. 16, I guess what, 15? Let's wait a bit. Alex showing good sportsmanship. That's always nice to see. A lot of money on the line. Some of the short stacks. I mean, Chris isn't gonna blind out. That's for sure. Don't like to see that though, right? When that's
it's a shame for Chris. I wonder what's Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess people travel and play and stuff. I'm always like, people who play online so much. I think when I used to play online more, I kind of had, internet backups for this kind of stuff. It's a horrible feeling when you're in these big spots and um, suddenly you're just not playing. It's like so much money, right? I mean, like here, like sitting out this ace queen off is just worth so much in dollar terms. So definitely a shame. Hope he gets his internet back.
yeah. It's funny. Alex says let's wait, and then he sees his stick is sitting out, and he like snap raises him right, and then big blind like that's actually. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of chips on the line there, right? You got 200,000 sitting there. It's a huge spot, but is he back now? Yeah, he's back. It looks like it was.
Yeah, it looks like he's back.
That was a bit. I mean, I guess it is funny though to say wait and then like snap raise when it's small blind, big blind, right? That's actually a kind of wild deal. But I know Alex is a very good player. I mean, that was, and he actually had a real hand. That's even the crazy part, right? He had like a top tier hand.
Yeah, I honestly wasn't expecting that. I thought he was going to kind of time bank and limp or something. I don't know. I mean, you got to decide quickly, right? Because you can't limp because, like, I mean, I guess you can. I think Queen Deuce off there isn't a limp. So if you want to play normal, like it's a fold. So you can't limp and then like give him time because your hand's not a call.
Right.
And like, I guess he's just like, oh, make that snap decision of like, what do I do? And he went for the take the chips. But yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure. I guess it's just one of those things where your people aren't used to those having to make those decisions, and it's hard. He went from like, let's wait for him to just gonna like raise a pure fold. But yeah, I mean, it's what can you do? It's like you don't know what people would do if the same happened to you, and it's like your responsibility to keep your internet in a good way, right? So it's you don't want to have those spots where you think, oh, I'll be nice and just do that, and then like someone just in the when you get the reverse spot just kind of doesn't give you the same. So that it's definitely tough spots.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. Four-handed here. Got the giveaway queued. Good luck to everyone. It's $50 or $100. The keyword is GGPoker space Ben space your GGPoker username. If you don't have a jurisdiction you can play GG, you can always gift it to a friend, put their username or split it with them, stake them, give them some percent, but that's an option. And we wish you luck. And again, if it's a Chris Rudolph win or a Leave Me Alone, it will be $100 tournament ticket, GG. If it is a Alex or other player, well, these guys are tangoing ace 10, ace 9, advantage Alex, ace 10 suited to ace 9. The 9 comes on the flop, but hey, 10s aren't far behind. 10 on the turn needs a miracle run out on the river. Won't be as quite a tease on the 9-3 king. Who needs backdoor straight, flush, or a 10. 10 comes in three-handed. We're going to choose the winner very soon. Wow, three-handed. And again, 9 million, 8 million, and Let Me Alone fighting here. And this actually is a dicey spot here as he gets threes. And when he's this short, risk premium now at this point, not much, and you have a pair and it's three-handed and you're at this stack depth, although it doesn't really look like he's going to be folding. And Alex is going to see the good news as it's 7s to 3s. It is a 4-1 favorite for us to be heads up. It is a clean flop wheelbarrow turn. Nope, needs a 3 or 3 only, or we're going to be heads up, Ben. We could be heads up very quickly, and it is a 3 across, and that is a 10, and it is GG, snap it out, and guaranteed big money, 285. We have got ourselves a 78K heads up match underway. There's a look at the payouts. Going quick work today. Let me alone. Very impressive resume there. Going to go out as 285 or 363. That is what we're playing for. Money's on the table. Queens to Jack 9. Chris Rudolph, so many final tables in season 2023. Can he cap it off with a victory? He is actually no longer the chip lead. Advantage Ben, advantage dinner. I know there's a lot of Michelin star over in the UK. If you ever get to Miami, we can do it wherever for dinner. But we are battling. The audience is battling. We got a retweet for 50. That is on ice for you guys as well. Jeff Gross Poker pin tweet on Twitter. That's available for you. So several giveaways today. And I'm going to see, is it pinned actually? Yes, it is pinned. So far, 40 retweets, guys. I welcome you to do that. I did click the link. Actually, I'll do it for you one more time. Copy, paste. Let's see. This tweet. Here we go. I'll give it up. And who do you like here? I mean, both players tough. Do you have any advantage? Any reads? Any thoughts on them and their heads up game by any chance? And just based on what you've seen today, or too close to call?
Seems too close to call. I mean, I've played Alex heads up once, and thought he played well. I have, from my memory, have never played Chris heads up, and don't have memory of seeing him play heads up. I assume he's a, reasonably good heads up player. It's kind of hard to be incredibly good as an MTT player heads up, right? Because most of your time is just spent playing nine-handed. So even if you've studied a bit, you're just not drilling it very often. Especially like you would probably find that maybe if they had, they would have looked at kind of 40 big blind heads up more. How often are you 100 big blinds heads up at the end of a tournament?
Right.
So yeah, interesting to watch, because I would think the same as both of them. They're both very good, accomplished tournament players, but from my knowledge, they're both like MTT players who kind of came from MTTs. I don't think either of them. I think that happens a bit more these days, right? People kind of just came up in MTTs, whereas some of the past stuff you used to see people, like some of the kind of older school group, often came from another game. When MTTs weren't as big, maybe, or they were like grinding the roll up. They came from kind of heads up cash, or sit and goes, or just six max cash. Whereas these days you see a lot of people who they're a tournament player and they came from tournaments. And I think that is the case for these two. Don't hold me to it, but yeah, I think we're just seeing kind of two tournament players battle it out. So interesting to see how they approach the heads up.
Well, you can look at the results. 17 million in GG earnings versus 7 million. The very cool graphic there on the side, fanning out their earnings, and you can see how strong the pedigree is from Chris on the GGMillion number 15 and 27 in the respective seasons, and Alex with number 10 last year overall rank in there. So both players very, very strong. One win apiece, that also shows there, and you can see how many cashes. I believe final tables isn't shown there, but it is a 17 final tables for Chris over the 3 seasons, and Alex, I believe, has 4, if I'm not mistaken. But again, they're both looking for a second title, so a lot to play for, a lot of money. Of course, the prestige, maybe trophies, future, maybe for 2024. It's not too late, right? At any point, I guess they could have a database. You see one, they choose which tournaments and ship the trophies out. We're gonna make that movement, Ben. If you sign that petition, we'll try to add that to the list of poker improvements for 2024. Every year there's something, right? Shot clock, big blind ante, tournament, trophies, whatever, right? It's
yeah, I mean, I would definitely sign that petition. I loved the big blind ante thing for live. I know that, some people feel differently about it or don't want it online, which is reasonable. But for live, it was just, I'm sure you remember just going to the World Series and just trying to get like 8 people who play poker once a month to put in antes, and like, dealers who are kind of being overworked. Just like the ante stuff was an absolute nightmare for live poker, and big blind ante has just been like an amazing change for pace of the game and stuff. So, and I think shot clocks have also been good. So, we've had some good changes. I don't see why trophies online can't be a new one.
Yeah, you saw the WSOP Plus app, right, in the Bahama. I mean, obviously that thing is crazy. How you can register on your phone, go right to the table. They have the tablets. You were the WSOP Bahamas.
Yeah, that was a very nice development too.
Yeah, hopefully. I believe they'll have that at the World Series in Vegas, but maybe not all the options for buying in. But it's still like to be able to like get out of your car, hit a button, register, have your account funded. Like the amount of, I mean, honestly, there's probably it's a significant percentage, I would say, of people that like maybe they're in Vegas or around. They're just like, I don't want to deal with it, or it's too much. You know what I mean? If they just know I can go, I can buy, or I can rebuy, pop right in. It's easy to fund, easy to get money off. It's just like it's just all helps so much for people in their experience, especially like first time experiences, right? If you go there and it's like a pain or annoying, you're like, I'm in Vegas, I got options or for my day, and you just know you're going to save 20, 30 minutes. And simplicity wise, that is it's a huge deal. So that's very cool. I mean, I can't say enough about it. And I think that, again, it's just sort of what we're going to keep seeing is these type of time saving and optimization within the game. Even some possibility of when you stake or buy pieces of people that your direct money, right? If it's nice if you buy 10% of someone and they cash and it's just like in your account. I mean, that would just save so much time. Headache also brings additional money into the game, right? That people that aren't there that want to be a part of it can do and not have to worry about it. Because even as the player, if you sell, it's kind of annoying, right? You have to do the accounting, the tracking, the handling. So I mean, there are a few sites. I don't want to get into promoting different. There's like 2 major ones, and there's ways to do that and sell. But it's yeah, again, a lot of great changes coming and making it easier and better for more player friendly or investor friendly. As Alex separating a little bit now, 11 million to 7, but again, blinds are not huge compared to the stacks, so plenty of play.
Yeah, he had the interesting hand, that 9-7 that he just bluffed. That was, I think Chris had an easy fold, but it was an interesting bluff from Alex, and yeah, like nice to get that through at a good time, and I think that kind of pulled him apart a bit. Well, I mean, quite surprised to see this actually. That was an interesting hand, right? So he just called the turn. I think the turn check makes a lot of sense, and then like I expected to check raise a lot, and then on the river flush draw he let out. I think I can understand what he's going for. It's just like not a line I expected. Kind of interesting. Be interested to look at that one after. It's hard, right? You just like so much of your volume is just playing kind of 5 to 9-handed MTT poker, and then suddenly you've just got to play heads up against someone you probably never played heads up against. It's like suddenly you're just going to have these really tough decisions where no one's going to be fully sure what's going on. This looks like it could get quite big. I would imagine this goes small c bet and call, and then
both back.
Going to see a lot of check on most turns, and then river will get. Yeah, I mean, river will be interesting, right? Like, obviously, we don't know the river yet, but wow, this is kind of sick. I guess I don't know. I guess he's like specifically just trying to turn his hand into a bluff. That's like something like King 8, maybe.
And that is gonna do it. I mean, it was just I was like looking a note in the hand, and that is your winner, 363,000, and just like that. I mean, Alex Kulev puts on a clinic. A great performance, I should say, from Rudolph, who all day long was chip leader, had the chips, was never really a doubt he would get heads up. He did do that. Alex, rocking the Ireland flag, takes it down. He is your champion on episode 36 of season 2023. And, at the end there, he just told the story. Were you surprised at last hand, or was that kind of standard when he turns a flush draw and he has some showdown? Do you think he's always shoving there, or were you surprised by the finish?
Yeah, a little surprised there. I mean, it was like a very quick hand. I honestly expected turn to just go check, and then river to be, check from the King 6 and King Jack value bet, depending on what the river was. So a little surprised to see him triple it off. But yeah, I mean, that's what happens sometimes, right? You get 2 aggressive players and the money goes in.
Yeah, well, quick work as we saw this was a, let's see, local time to a 20 started. Yeah, very quick, actually, very quick final table today. We do appreciate
Yeah.
Ben over in Europe taking the time with us today. Again, he will be my next guest on the Jeff Bros podcast. So look forward to, if you want to know more about Ben, stay tuned to that. We saw some of the biggest names as usual. Nice prize pool today, with the first place being super healthy. Both top two finishers over $250,000 awarded. We will be back same time, same place next week, and we will have again another major guest. And Ben, where can people expect to see you next? There's the Triton Jeju, there's some other stops around the world. Are you going to be giving us a little look into your schedule for 2024 in terms of live poker? You said for sure. Are you confirmed for those stops, or you will go to all the Tritons?
Yeah, I'll go to all the Tridents. They haven't been announced yet. Most of them. I'll go to EPT Paris next. Then from there, it's like not many days off before Triton Jeju, then EPT Monaco. And then, yeah, I don't think the schedules like past that have really been released that much. So, yeah, just kind of a wait and see.
Beautiful. Well, listen, really appreciate the time. Thank you so much. It was fun. A lot of interesting hands today. Hope everyone enjoyed. Please, again, hit that thumbs up. We appreciate you guys for watching. We will see you next week. And, of course, the giveaway, $50 winner today for one of Ben's players. And, Ben, I guess I do owe you a dinner. We'll note that down. We'll have a nice dinner. And $50 going to Sauce, username Sauce. YouTube winner, screen name Sauce. So I just put that in the chat. Appreciate everybody so much. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Go Blue, all the Michigan fans out there. And we'll see you on Tuesday, 1:45 Eastern next week. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Jim.
Smooth.